Give me some respect right now.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jihaad.
The question, you're already saying it's a surreal moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, nothing would be possible, you know, without the Most High, you know what I'm saying, and my family and my friends and, you know, just everybody supporting me, you know, and just paving the way for me and mentoring me and guiding me, you know, throughout my whole journey. So shout out to everybody back at home, man. I'm coming back home. Philly, y'all know what's up. We got to turn up. We got to get lit. We got to win another freaking Super Bowl next year, man. It's on.
Never give up the microphone unless you're giving it to a draft pick that's going to a Super Bowl champion. What was it like to receive that phone call from a general manager that constructs a championship roster?
Man, it was a surreal feeling, you know, just getting that call and just being here and, you know, just having that opportunity and, you know, maximizing my opportunities when I was younger and, I mean, you know, just leading it to this point. So I'm just extremely grateful and I'm honored.
And you have a future in television when you're done playing. Congratulations.
You're damn right.
Hey, Jihaad, congrats and welcome to Philadelphia.
Appreciate it, man. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with our local media. We'll kick it off with Ed and then Jeff McClain.
I got you.
Yeah. Hey, Jihaad, congratulations. Welcome back to Philadelphia. I know you grew up a half an hour or so from here. Did you grow up? Did you grow up an Eagles fan? And secondly, how much?
Come on, man. Definitely.
Okay, yeah, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
How much interaction did you have with the Eagles in the pre-draft process?
So I only spoke to him like once. I talked to Coach Washburn and, you know, just building that connection and that bond. And, you know, we was, you know, just talking together and yeah, I only talked to him once. So
did you get a good feel for how that went?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're a very great organization. You know, they have very great coaches, great staff, you know, that make sure you know, the team has, you know, great value, you know, so we can win. When regular season games, win playoffs, and, you know, most importantly, win a Super Bowl. So
we'll go to Jeff and then Brooks.
Hey, Jihaad, congratulations. You mentioned Washburn. He coaches the edge defenders. Do you think that's what the Eagles envision you playing more of rather than all?
I think just being, you know, like a dominant force for the defense. So really, like, you know, just put me wherever and just, you know, finding different schemes for me to play and, you know, making an impact.
It's pretty well known that you came in as more, you know, you played defensive end in high school, and then that was kind of what you started out at Alabama. Do you have a preference in terms of, you know, what you would like to play or what you think brings up the best?
Man, I'm just ready to be the best version of myself each and every day and compete, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, be that dominant force at whatever the coach wants to put me at, honestly.
We'll go to Brooks and then Jeff Kerr.
Yeah, so in multiple spots, wherever they end up lining you up, how much have you gotten a chance to look at what this Eagles defense has done, what Vic Fangio has done?
Yeah.
Where do you see the things that play to your skills?
Yeah, so I think, you know, they do a lot of great things with Zach Bond, with Nolan Smith, with the Kobe team. You know, just being able to be versatile, being in coverage, rushing, you know, through the A-gaps and blitzing, and, you know, just being that guy that adds value and, you know, that creates value for themselves and great production for themselves. So
we'll go to Jeff and then Olivia.
Hey, Jihaad, congratulations. Welcome to Philadelphia. I heard you say yesterday at your pre-draft that you want to be number one or the best at everything you do. Where did you get that mentality from growing up?
I always had that mentality, you know, ever since really it might have been when I came out the womb, honestly. I always just wanted to be the best version of myself each and every day. And I had family members. I had a great support system and foundation that always pushed me to be the best version of myself. So I never looked at anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? So each day I'm trying to figure out ways of, okay, how can I maximize nutrition? How can I maximize, my footwork, or, just tackling and keep my pad level low. You know what I'm saying? So
We'll go to Olivia and then John McMullen.
Hey, Jihaad, you said that you grew up an Eagles fan. What have been some of your favorite Eagles memories over the years and some of your favorite players?
Man, there's a lot. I want to say like Shady. When Darren Sproles was there, I definitely like him. Brandon Graham. Who else? Obviously Michael Vick. Got to go with Deshaun Jackson. Another great one was Jeremy Maclin. When he was doing very great at Philly. So
we'll go to John and then Martin.
Hey, Jihaad, congrats again. Talked about Vic a little bit earlier, but curious how much you know about, or do you know much about his scheme? Because he has a history of using versatile hybrid sort of flat defenders. How much
definitely.
do you know about it? How much you're looking forward to it?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it, a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? This is my new team, and, I'm just excited to really grow that bond and that connection relationship, with him, with the linebackers coach, really with everybody, on the defensive staff, just getting together and, really understanding the concept and, different schemes, so I can apply it to my game and, maximize each and every opportunity I have on the field.
Why do you think you took to coverage? You came in Alabama's an edge guy and sort of got into that role and sort of developed into a natural coverage player. Why do you think that came so quickly for you?
I mean, it was just a want, a want to learn, a want to win, and I think, that was the main thing, just being around like-minded guys like me, that would push me and that would help me and, just educate me on different things along with my coaches. And then, just applying it to myself, what I'm saying? Self-confidence is everything. So I feel like, that's what I have. And, I have a certain type of tenacity that I bring to the game. And, that's how I play the game.
We'll go to Martin and then Dave.
Jihaad, congrats on getting drafted, obviously. I wanted to ask you about the status of your shoulder. You had surgery in March and everything. Like, do you think you'll be ready for training camp? And also, I mean, do you think that's why kind of like you were taking it number 31 when, a lot of people had you go in the middle of the round?
I mean, it was really just God's plan. I was just walking in his guidance. You feel what I'm saying? So, me patiently waiting, that was all God's work. He's the best of planners always. And, I'm just taking it day by day with, the shoulder process, just making sure, like I said earlier, I'm just maximizing every day, that I can get better, that I can heal up. So
we'll go to Dave and then Zach.
Congratulations. When you think back to your high school career and you transfer and you leave the state, was that a difficult decision for you?
No, just understanding, what was that task and what I wanted to do. I'm definitely grateful, that my parents understood what I wanted to do, moving forward and, going to IMG and going to Alabama. And now, I'm about to go to basically another Alabama, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, man, it's just God's process, man. I'm just walking in his guidance right now. And, everything is going as planned. So I'm really excited to be an Eagle. I really can't wait to get to work and, just win.
We'll go to Zach and then Jeff.
Hey, Jihaad, congratulations. The phone call, what was that like? What did they say on the phone? And you're someone who would know what a 215 number is. So when that 215 number
once I see the number, I'm like, pretty interesting. Okay. So I answered it and it was Howie, but he was like, you know what this is? You know what this is? I'm like, nah. And then that's when he's like, it's Howie Roseman. I was about to break down, man, because I mean, it was just a real moment, for me and my family. Like my grandfather, like I'm talking way back in Randall Cunningham days, he always watched the Eagles and he always loved the Eagles. My pops, my mom, my two brothers, my uncle, I mean, like my whole family, so it was definitely a special moment, for me and my family.
So what's the cell phone been like that the past hour and a half?
I think so yeah, definitely.
We have time for two more, so we'll go to Jeff and then Tim.
You mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't know if you answered specifically about the shoulder. You expect to be back by like when? Do you know when you'll be clear?
I mean, I'm just taking this process day by day. I ain't even really looking, like too far ahead or anything like that. I'm really just, trying to focus on like tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I got to go up to the Eagles, but I'm gonna definitely give me a nice little workout in the morning, so I can maximize my strengths and, just getting my shoulder back right. So that's what I'm most worried about.
Okay. All right, thanks. I just wanted to, thanks.
We'll end with Tim here.
Hey, Jihaad, just following up on that, how did you hurt the shoulder?
Just trying to bang heads with somebody, trying to play football. Everybody get injured, so I think that was what happened. You know what I'm saying? Being
That
a
was just
linebacker
from during the season.
Yeah, just trying to make a lot of tackles, trying to make some very great tackles.
Thanks for the time. Thanks for the time, Jihaad, and congrats again.
Definitely. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night.
Hi. We picked Jihaad Campbell. We made a small trade up just to ensure that we could get him. There were a lot of trades in the 20s, and so we just want to make sure that someone didn't jump ahead of us. Excited to have him. Really excited to have him. Wasn't really something we anticipated. Understand some of the other teams may have reasons for taking other players, but for us, this is a really easy pick. Really explosive player. He can play inside. He can be an edge rusher. Just really feel fortunate to bring him home back to Philly.
Howie, there were reports that you were trying to trade up a little bit earlier. Was that for Jihaad?
It was. Again, this was a top 10 player on our board. We do not have any long-term concerns with his health. We have, we look at the draft as a long-term opportunity for our team. We have a lot of confidence this guy's going to be here and play at a really high level for a long time. And so when you're in a draft and you're picking at the end of the first round, you have an opportunity to get a top 10 player on your board, a guy who can affect the quarterback, a guy who can affect the passing game. For us, it was a no-brainer. A local kid, great character. So we were really excited to add him.
Nick, I heard Howie say that he has the pass rush ability as well. How do you view him and how he can be used in the defense?
Yeah, I think we think he's a versatile player who can do a lot of different things. Obviously, the main thing that you see is the energy that he plays with, the speed that he plays with, and that when you're playing and relentless effort that he plays with, and that fits on defense.
Is he far enough in his rehab that he could be ready, do you think, for training camp or opening day?
Yeah, we'll get all into that when we bring him in here. Obviously our guys had an opportunity to see him at the combine and the rechecks, and we're very excited about what he's going to bring to the team. From our perspective, all that stuff will be sorted out. But again, we're looking at this. This wasn't a need pick. This was for us a player we had tremendous passion about, and somebody when we started the process and continued through the process was very high on our boards. And we got to look at the draft that way. Obviously. There are other players we liked at the spot we were picking, but this stood out to us, and I'm very excited to get him, and we didn't want to lose him.
Howie, how would you describe what you're like when you see a player falling and you're trying to trade for him? How would you describe your mannerisms, your mood?
I don't know.
Maybe ask you better, Nick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not your answer.
I mean, persistent, determined. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think that he was like falling, or that this is where you felt?
I think we get enough information before the draft that we started to feel like it was a possibility in the last few days, and so we had gone through scenarios where he was going to fall. We knew that there was probably a sweet spot that we could try to get up at, and we had done a lot of planning about that. So we understood kind of some of the questions that were going on him. We spent a lot of time with our doctors and our medical staff, ensuring that we were all seeing it the same way. And again, we have a lot of confidence in our edge rushers on this team, on our inside linebackers on this team. But for us, this we thought was one of the best players in the draft.
Is he going to start off with Washburn or with Bobby King?
Yeah, I think we'll go through that here. But this is a guy who was recruited from IMG at Alabama as an edge rusher, hand and dirt edge rusher. They had some injuries at Alabama. They played him off the ball. You see his explosiveness and his speed, and really, it's kind of interesting, and we talked about this a lot. You see it. You see Penn State give them a lot of credit for what they've done. They've had guys off the ball move to edge rushers. Obviously, their last two guys who've been drafted really high, they started off the ball and they moved to edge rushers. Vic does a tremendous job with getting guys who have pass rush ability to be versatile players like that. And I think what's really fun is that those guys who have that versatility, who can go out on the edge and get pressure as a rusher, and he's got speed, he's got power as an edge rusher, he was trained as an edge rusher, and then he's got the versatility to play off the ball and blitz from depth and play in space, in pass coverage, as an off-ball linebacker. And so the things that you can do and keep all these players on the field. So for us, it's just we always want to improve the front seven, and we view him as a front seven player who's got incredible versatility and a skill set to do both those things. And the appeal is that he's got this rush skill set, and he's 21 years old. He turned 21 on February 24th. So like he's got upside to grow and get bigger, and his frame is such that he can put on more weight and more strength. And so, as you can tell, excited about the player.
What were the conversations like with Vic Fangio in the pre-draft process about how he might fit in the defense and how that versatility might be able to be an asset for the defense?
tremendous respect for Coach Fangio and the accomplishments he has and what he sees in defensive players. And so, I think for us, we're having those conversations with every member of our coaching staff and certainly our coordinators. And obviously Vic, with the success that he's had, those conversations go deep. And so understanding that he's got a vision for the player, but we've seen what he can do with guys with this kind of skill set. And you just look around the league, the teams that we have to get through to get where we want to go, they have fast, explosive quarterbacks, players in their backfield that we got to bring down at all levels of our defense. And we need a tremendous amount of front seven players to contain those guys. And so it's always been a priority. For us, this doesn't deviate what we believe. We believe in affecting the passing game on offense and defense, and this guy can affect the passing game on defense.
There's been guys here before, local guys from this area, who've struggled with kind of being a pro near home, just the demands on them. Having their friends in the same town and stuff, and ticket requests and all that. Is that something that is I don't know, do you look into that at all? Is that something you kind of consider with a local kid?
Yeah, I rely on Dom. I rely on Dom to get to know these kids, and he knows all these kids and the background that they come from. And, I think that I don't know necessarily who you're talking about. I could probably think of one that wasn't as high a pick. But I don't have any doubt about this player's character, this player's work ethic, this player's desire to win.
You mentioned Vic. How much has he expanded your view of what an off-ball linebacker could do in terms of value for a defense?
Yeah, I don't want to put this player in that box. That's what I'm saying. This guy can grow into anything you want. And what I'm saying is Vic has done a tremendous job with kind of educating me on the way that he looks at things and the way I look at things. And we have a lot of these conversations about it. And obviously, those are great conversations. For me, I'm continuing to learn every day. That's a beautiful part about the job that we have. And but at the end of the day, like, you see it in what's going on in the league. And Zach Bond's a great example. I mean, these guys, they can rush from the edge, they can play in space, they can affect the quarterback from depth, from the edge, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys like that, and the league has changed. And I think the league it's a speed game, and when you have guys with those kind of explosive qualities, and you want to get as many as you can.
Does Nakobe's injury timeline affect his projection at whatever position?
No, we have a lot of confidence in Nakobe Dean, and this has nothing to do with Nakobe. This had to do with the fact that we had a top 10 talent on our board who we love the player and we love the versatility. And, for us, that was it. That was really it. It wasn't about we start drafting for need or we start turning down top 10 players when we're picking in the 30s. It's not going to be good for our football team.
You mentioned how other teams, you thought that he may drop a little bit just based upon the injury concerns, and you trust your doctors. And what is it from your team's evaluations of him medically that you think that he's going to be?
Well, Jeff, when we do our medical meetings, we share medical grades with other teams. So obviously they all go to the combine. So I don't want it to be like we're the only team that had certain was confident with him medically. I'm not going to go into the medical stuff because I don't do that with any of our players. But I would say for us, we look at this as a long-term investment, and we think this guy's going to be playing a long time for the Philadelphia Eagles.
In the press conference last week, you spoke about how player comps come up in those meetings. What player comps came up with Campbell?
Yeah, again,
They're trying to get you. They're trying to get you.
Go ahead, you want to take
well,
it?
No, because it's funny because we were watching on the NFL Network, and the first few guys are like Hall of Famer comps, and so it's like we're looking at that, we're going, whoa, those are big shoes to fill. So I think for us, those are conversations we have with our staff, and that puts coach in a bad spot. So I'm stepping in front.
Are you sensing any reluctance from other general managers around the league to do deals with you, given your recent run of success in the draft and with trades?
I wasn't. I didn't feel that way. Again, we're all in the business of making our teams better, and so I think that when we find opportunities to make our team better, we'll do the trade. When other teams find the opportunity to make their team better, they do the trade. I think we just traded with the team we played in the Super Bowl. We moved up one pick and gave them some value. So I think at all the conversations we're having, what happened in this draft was the trade started to pick up and the value of the trade started to pick up. So that always makes it different. Once one trade goes down, the market kind of changes. So you got to adjust with that, but feel fortunate that we got him.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you.
It ain't no doggone tomorrow, fellas. What are you gonna bring to the doggone church? Are you gonna put somebody in their mouth? Are you gonna do your doggone job? Are you gonna pray from your doggone chest? Are you gonna pray from your heart and get everything you doggone got? Cause I'ma do that.